Hello guys, am I audible to you? You can write in the chat box. Okay, I am audible. So we will begin within 5-10 minutes. Let the participants join. First is share the link that you have gotten, the design workshop link. Please share it in your respective groups. We will wait for a few more minutes. Then we So if you would have any question in between the design session, we have few moderators who would uh, answer your question in the live chat. We will begin within 5 minutes. So guys, we will start now. Welcome to the graphic design workshop by Cyber Labs. So by this workshop, you would have a question about what is design. A few glitches there. About what is design. So design is a process of planning the creation of objects and interact. That is, users are at the heart of design. So it is also about creating solution for people, physical item, or more abstract system in a need of any problem. And most importantly, design is not about making things pretty just for the sake of it. Every company and every team has their own understanding of what design is should be. Within the user experience, there are many specializations within design roles, that is interaction designer, visual designer, information architect, or a prototyper. And these roles can have overlapped with other domains such as marketing, architecture, industrial design, audience design, or sound design. So why design? So guys, we were between the difference between art and design. So as you can see, art gets the recognition and design gets the money. Really states the difference between art and design. So moving forward, so you all can see that visuals take much less time for our brain to perceive. 13 milliseconds to be precise, and this time is way less than any text form just because about 40% nerves are directly connected to the retina. 90% everything that comes to our mind is by visual stimulus, and this makes it the visuals more appealing to the audience. And to add a cherry to the cake, 65% of the population are visual learners. Proceeding forward, we are with different types of designing fields like graphic design, UX UI design, architect design, fashion design, interior design, etc. But the scope of this workshop will only deal with graphic design, and UX/UI designing. UX/UI designing stands for user experience as user interface designing. The aesthetic design of apps and websites you all see comes under UX/UI designing. So let's move forward to the softwares you can use for designing any designing application or any websites or app. So as you can see, the first software is Adobe Illustrator. Next is Photoshop and Figma. Adobe Illustrator is most commonly used for vector designing, and Photoshop is one of the most powerful tools from Adobe used to design vectors as well as raster images. And for Figma, you will only use it for designing UX UI of any website or any application. It is also used to design the wireframes and collaborate with the team effectively. A few other designing softwares are Sketch. It is used in Mac to basically design user experience or user interface of any application or software. The next application is Canva, the online tool which is used to edit any graphics and collaborate with a team member. It is an online application and doesn't require any software to install, and it is a light software. The next is Adobe XD. It is a tool from Adobe to design UI UX. We are now put with a question: does design really matter? The answer is a bold yes. One example of this can be the use of stats of how do people hold their mobile phones. Companies use this data to design their applications such that the call to action button is closest to one's right thumb, as 49% of the people are right-handed and hold their phone accordingly. So any important button like buy or book is always placed on the right side and reachable to the right thumb. This design principle is used by every brand, whether it is Zomato, Domino's, Swiggy, and any other brand that has gained a unicorn platform form. In this slide, you can see the call to action button placed on the right side. Left side is the example of Zomato, and on the right side is Oyo. You can see that the any call to action button, whether it is call or place order, is always to the reach of right thumb. In the right side, the application of Oyo, we can see that any booking or anything more important is always have a platform which is closest to the right thumb, as 49% of user are right-handed. Next, we can see the example of Craigslist. This design does not get any attention as it is badly designed and would never generate much leads. On the other hand, if the redesign is this, it could get more attentions. You all can see the difference between these two designs. The other design is more appealing. This design is more appealing than this one. So one more example of a redesign website could be the redesign of any application like Geeks for Geeks. So you guys would have known about Geeks for Geeks, as it is a website for any computer graphics and computer programming and other. If we could see the problem with the old design, the old design was not user friendly and it was not able to retain traffic to the website. The user generally arrive at the website for a particular solution, thus the time spent on the home page was quite less. So this was the old design of Geeks for Cakes, and if to generate a new lead or more leads, uh, this website really needed a redesign. So one of the solution could be a redesign like this one. You guys can see the redesign, how the call to action buttons are highlighted and the symmetry is maintained in the redesign. This could generate more leads for this website. So we'll move forward with the design overview. One more example of a redesign could be this one. What do you guys think? The which design would fetch more leads? This left side or right side? Basically, the right side is a redesigned version of a Craigslist website, which could generate more leads. Like we have a call to action button which is highlighted, and in the older version we have nothing such as short of. So moving forward with the design overview. The first overview is the contrast. So what do you mean by contrast? So basically contrast refers to how different elements are in a design. These differences make various elements stand out. Uh, One example of a high contrast website could be this image in this website. Like we have a great contrast between the yellow colors and the black text. Uh, The example of a low contrast design is this. Everything seems to be same. No color difference is there in the background or text difference is there. But you can notice the difference in the in the contrast between the call to action button here, which is a good thing. But the low contrast thing could make a lead small, lower the leads of generation of any sales. Moving forward, the term the next design term is balance. So balance is basically the distribution of visual weight of objects, colors, text and space. It is to add stability to the design. One example of a symmetrical balance of any design could be this, and the other example of an asymmetrical design is this. The next as design aspect is radial balance. Radial balance relates to elements that spread out from center point. You can see the example of radial balance, like every design is radially balanced, whether it is on the left side or the right side. It is balanced 360-degree. Moving next, where with the term used in design. The first term, it is also known as the focal point of your design. It aims to draw the viewer's attention to a specific design element. It could be an area, content, image, or to a link, or even to a button, etc. We see emphasis used in most fields of design, including architecture, landscape design, and even in fashion design. Emphasis in text could be could be generated using size, weight, color, and capitalization. Next, this in this website we can see the build something is emphasized. Next design term is alignment. Alignment is the first impact of the design. It refers to the lining up of the text or graphics on a particular page. While you probably won't notice when the elements in a design are aligned, you will almost definitely notice when they aren't. A design with a poor alignment will look cluttered and unfinished, but aligning elements on the page will organize your design and make it easier to read. It creates an invisible line on which the content is placed. You can see the example of alignment in typography. The alignment in typography could be seen as central alignment, left alignment, right alignment, and justified alignment. In justified alignment, basically the lines or the text are aligned from the both sides. Basically, it creates a space between few words to create this alignment. Of example of this could be seen in this website. In Google search bar, we can see that the elements are aligned along an imaginary line. The next design term is hierarchy, the visual guider of any design. It just states that the most important element should appear to be the most important. Here you would have noticed the word appear. It is written that the most important element should appear to be the most important. This states the hierarchy principle. Here you can see the website is arranged such that the eye movement is only towards the first most important element. The next is the less slight element, and at the last, the least important element is highlighted. The eye movement automatically adjusts to this design. The next term used in design is repetition. Repetition maintains the consistency across any design, like the repeating the same colors, typeface, shapes, or other elements of design. Here you can see that the color red or maroon is repeated continuously from whether it is the logo of the website or the banner of the website. Even the buttons are of the same color. This is the use of, or the perfect example of repetition. The next example is the use of repetition in the website HackerRank. It uses the same type of typeface, color, and icon type everywhere on the website. So सब क्लियर है यहाँ तक? कोई क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ लो, मॉडरेटर्स अवेलेबल है. So next we will move to color theory. The so the colors are divided basically in two aspects: subtractive color, which is used in print media, and the other is additive color, which is used in digital media. You can see that the subtractive pigment theory ink printing. The images are of additive light theory electronic, how CMYK color is printed. In the next slide, we will see about the color models. The most important color models are basically CMYK, which is used in print media, RGB, which is used in digital media, HSB or HSV, digital media, and the last could be the grayscale. The color of CMYK is also known as the offset printing color, which stand for C for cyan, M for magenta, Y for yellow, K for black. In this image, you can see the how these color mix up to make a particular color. Like uh, these four colors mix up to make a black color. This color model is always used in print media and is always advised not to use in digital media because this could create some glitch in the color model. The next color, you can see in this slide that how these color mix up to make a final CMYK print media color. The next is RGB color mode model. RGB basically stands for red, green, and blue. This color model is used in digital media. Every poster or any design model vector or anything you see in your screen or your computer screen is made up of RGB color model. You can see in this image like these three colors mix up to make a white color. The next color where H stands for hue, S for saturation, and the B or V would be brightness. It is another model which could be used in screens. Basically, designing and developing of application could be carried on side by side, but usually it is preferred that the website should be designed and tested accordingly, then the developer should be given with the designs. The next, designers use testing of their design and get feedbacks. If the designer and developer interact with, like do side by their jobs side by side, the feedback process could get quicker, and finally the design is delivered. Next, the final delivery of the product, where designer and developer you get feedbacks from the user base and clients, where you could also have been the tester, like in a Play Store you have an option of beta testing. uh, so that is the one thing you are doing, becoming a tester. So you can see the slide where the user flow diagram is there. This is a diagram where the flow of any application is given. You should note that it is just the ideation and not the actual designing of application. It is like designers and the users uh, have have their feedback on any particular idea, like designing an application of delivering a food. So designers sit and draw a user flow diagram as how would the user would flow through the application. So like you can see that the first start we will start the first step is always the login screen. So if the user is a new user, he would have a sign up screen where he would verify user from Google, Facebook, or any other website. The next, if the account is already present, he would just log in and not sign up. If every process is done, login or sign up is done, the user would have gone to the home screen, and every other detail like the application, basically the any other proposal screen, for like if it is a delivery website, the delivery description screen would be there, and many other things. What other things would be there? The design process is drawn user flow in this user flow diagram. I think this would be visible and clear. The user flow diagram would be clear to you all. So next we have the basics of UI designing. So the first basic term which you would see when you are dealing with the UI designing part is the wireframing. So after making complete user flow diagram and deciding the flow of any application, a designer decides the screen that the user should see. The first step is designing the visual is wireframing. So basically wireframing is just designing the software in a low pixels, or we can say that designing it quickly by getting just an idea. Like in this slide you can see that the design is like this would have a banner. uh, we we d- we don't give any images like which would destroy the uh, quick quick ability of the seeing this design. Wireframing is also how the page would look. In this wireframes, any designer decides about placement of, but basically it decides about the placement of buttons, images, text body, and other things, etc. So next we have the few softwares for wireframing. This could be mockups.com, ballasmic.com, Adobe XD, Figma. You can also do in Figma, and few other websites are also there. But the most light software is in this is, I think, Figma. It is an online based mode. You can design it. It is very light software. Next, we are with the term of mockup. So this is the most essential part of any UI design. It basically means the visual representation of how the screen would look according to the wireframes. It is the complete design final screen that the interact with it. A few examples of mockups could be this. The softwares of for mockup designs are Mockup Studio, Mockup World, Figma. You can also find mockups in Figma, Sketch, uxpin.com, or even Canva or Artboard.studio. The next term is prototypes. So what does prototype mean? It is just about making the mockups presentable and interactive. So to sum up, we can say that what mockup plus transition plus animation means prototype. In softwares, we are connected different actions like we have many buttons like home screen, user account, or any other button. Prototype just means that it is the visual representation or like any video. Yeah. One can add a animation or transition effect to show how final product will be delivered. This is one example of prototype, like how the user will get through the application. Like if the user clicks here, he will move to this page of the application, and if the user clicks, it is basically the flow how this would put in visual form, and it is not a user flow. Like in user flow, we have seen we have designed according to the flow chart, like we have designed it in flow chart, but here we are designing with a mobile application. The software for prototyping are Marvel, InVision, Proto.io, Figma, Principal, or Keynote. These Principal and Keynote are usually used in Mac, so people who have Mac could use these. So next we are going to have an interesting project coming up. So now you would all have a 5 second of buffering. So guys, please wait, and 5 seconds of buffering will be there.
Hello, hello. Am I audible? So before we start, let me just go through the questions that you had asked in the chat. That I guess a few have been left unanswered. So, first guys, just give me a minute. Yeah. So the first question was, when will the recruitment test happen? So the recruitment test details will be forwarded to you about somewhere in the next week or so. You can attend the seminars, attend the workshops right now without worrying about that. And then if we are designing apps, and what will be the difference between graphic design and Android development? See, the thing is, as graphic designers, we design the look and feel and the placement of the things. Like which element goes where in the screen is decided by the graphic designers or the UI UX designers. Like, we are the people who decide that the call to action button has to be lowered. We are the people who decide which page comes first and what is the chronological order of the pages that you see on the website. The Android development team or the web development team, they code it. They are the technical people who make the prototypes that we make into a reality. Okay, so is designing, I guess I answered that. What exactly is neomorphic design? See, neomorphic design is like the design that is inspired from something realistic. Like, you see the calculator app on your phone, the button layout is kind of similar to what you would find on a traditional calculator at a grocery store or anywhere for that matter. So that is an example of neomorphic design. Moving on, what is the student intake in graphic designing? That depends on how enthusiastic you people are on joining and how well you all perform in the tests and events that we conduct in the future. If I'm audible, please type that in the chat once. I want to check that. Yeah, okay. Moving on. So is it like first unit? Yeah, the thing is, first we conduct the user research. Actually, we'll go through the process once, so I'll skip to that. Anyway, let's now come to Figma, because Figma is the app that will teach you the basics of today, and after that we'll come to the winter of code and the projects that we have for you. So this is Figma, nothing much, just a basic website. Here you'll see all the projects that you have on the here you see all the projects that you have on your account. This is basically me signed in, and here is where you can start a new project. So I click on the new file, and as you can see the title untitled, so let me rename that first. Test build for cyber labs. Yeah, okay. So let me introduce you to the tools for anyone who has not used Figma before. See, here we have the options, like this is the basic settings menu and all the options that we do not need for the most part. Vector and raster has been explained to you in the back. So here are the main buttons. This is the one that you will use, this button out here. This is the selection button. This is what you will use to move and position the different elements relatively on the screens. We'll start with this. So this is the frame. When you tap on this, you have two options. Either you have the standard sizes of, see, you can see the phone, the iPhone Max. Wait a second. Yeah, yeah, you can see the different presets. These are phone sizes, iPhone 8 Plus or standard sizes for phones, tablets, desktops, paper, A4 as well. Or you can even make a freehand. See, you can see on the screen it shows the pixels of height and to width for whatever I'm drawing and moving. But let's make a standard one. We'll start with, I guess, Android. Yeah, this is an Android, and we'll share with you the link for the wireframing kit. This is nothing but a set of presets. I mean the pre-made assets that you can use to speed up the wireframing process and also to keep the thing you make a little more presentable. Okay, so we'll share the link for that. Somebody please do that. Yeah, okay. So anyway, you can see here we have so many elements, like these are the headlines for these are the list elements and the cards and buttons and text inputs and everything. So hold on. So basic for the basic menu movement in the Figma app, you press Control and scroll to zoom in and zoom out, and otherwise you use the scroll to just move up and down. Coming back to the tools, here are the basic shapes. Like if you tap this once, you get the rectangle tool, and if you press this one, you can have so many options like a line, an arrow. Suppose I draw this arrow like this. The left is the tail and the right is the head, so the head will have an pointer. So you can see that you can customize all the things on the right side, like the stroke color for this. I'll make it a bit blue and I'll make it a bit thicker, so that's how you do that. The right side is the detailed settings for each menu that you use. Anyway, the other, and also when you use the rectangle tool or the ellipse tool, if you drag it like that, it will be formed on the freehand, but if you press shift and you hold it, it will scale proportionately. See, that's a square, the height and width are scaling on the same at the same rate. Also, if you press alt, it will scale from the center, mirroring on all four sides. If you combine alt and shift, you guessed it. So these are the basic tools. You can make circles, you can make all the basic shapes that you need for now for prototyping and the fast designing. Anyway, the next part is for this is the pen tool. It's a tough tool to master but a very powerful tool if you can master it. So for this you can make freehand curves. We will come to the details of it in the later sessions because the pen tool is too vast to be completed on one day, but you get the idea. You can draw freehand curves with it and you can change all the settings on the right. Okay, so coming back, oh, sorry, I went to back. Just give me a minute. Yeah, here's the text tool for the typing. You can either make it a block where you write all the stuff that you want. Suppose I write test Figma file for cyber labs. Yeah, so if we write, see, this is the text, and then we can, suppose I'll give you some more moments for the text. There are so many settings on the right. You can choose the font from here, like this section, I guess. Yeah, so there are so many fonts. These are all online, so you don't need to worry if your device has the fonts installed or not. We'll teach you all that stuff, installing fonts and all the apps others in the upcoming sessions as you join and work with Cyber Labs. But for now, we'll stick to Figma. Anyway, so I'll choose, I guess Roboto is fine for now. You can change the size and the colors and also the effects. Like you can give it a stroke, but I don't like strokes on texts. Anyway, you can keep it regular, change the weights, change the size, and you get the idea. You can customize it the way you want. So now let me, and yeah, this is the hand tool. This is basically used to move through the screens. And as I was telling you in the start, this is the move tool. This is what you use to move the elements like this around. I guess the basics for Figma end there. You don't need much of the stuff. And this is the share button. Like you can add someone to view. This is me. I can invite someone as my friend who was right here before I came. I can invite him to to view the file or ed give him the editing access. But all that stuff is for the later part. Anyway, ask me if you have any doubts regarding this part, any section that you want me to restart, or we'll move on to creating a basic sign up page for now. I'm waiting for the comments. Snehal Ray, yeah, you can do this simultaneously. I have explained you the basic tools. So, yeah, we'll be making a basic sign up page right now. So, yeah, you can do that. I guess nobody has any doubts up till now. So, let's move forward. Let me just clean it up a bit fast. Yeah, so for wireframing, as I sent you this part, yeah, as you can see this cursor, this is my friend. And the good part about Figma is that you can collaborate with up to 5 people at once on a single project. So he and I can work on the same project at once, and that is good for collaborative purposes. As you will see, we often work together on multiple projects here at Cyber Labs. So let's start with the prototyping. As I said, we'll work on a sign in page. So let me just borrow these elements quickly. I'll take this one, Control C and Control V. That's the standard thing. So I don't think there's anything to explain in that. Yeah, let me just rename it. Sign in. Yeah. Then we'll just borrow one of these. Actually, two of those. We should have a password as well. So, yeah, and then what more? We need a button to sign in. Let me just find one. Yeah, this one looks good. So here you go. We have a button, and I'll borrow some text as well. Yeah, this one looks good. Sorry. Yeah, so we have our elements in place. I'll quickly just name the stuff. I guess I'll need a few copies of this. And also you can make duplicates of an element by holding Alt and dragging it, as I'm doing it right now. So let's work on it. Sign in, or either we should make an option for create create an account, because that's kind of obvious. Yeah, so now the two main entries for what we either need a username or we need an email address. So I'll keep it to that. Input text, I'll keep it to something. Remember, all this stuff is not actual, so this is for representation purpose, and this is a wireframe, so you don't have to think about the colors. You just have to think about the orientation and placement of the things. So I'll just keep it to random details for now, so you get the idea. It should be a password For the password, I'll just use the default stars, 8 of them. Yeah, good. Log in. And also, if you remember the traditional sign-in pages, we have two options. One for forgot password and another one for forgetting the username. So we'll include that as well. Okay, so the components are now ready. We'll just make it, we'll now just decide the placement of this stuff. So as I said, this should be a little low. As my friend told you, the CTA or the call to action thing should be near the near the reach of the thumb. The login is our CTA, so we should not keep that. Hold on. Yeah, the log. Why is it sticky? Wait a minute. Yeah, I'll just place that. Yeah, it it does show you some tricks now and then. Anyway, so we'll keep the login at the bottom. We'll place. I guess the all these things should be a little lower too. And one thing to ensure that. Hey, wait a second. Yeah, all the things that you're using, they should be properly aligned. Otherwise, they feel kind of awkward. So we'll take everything. We'll align it to the center. And actually, no, we'll align it to the left side. That seems a bit more normal. And you know what, something feels a bit missing here, so I'll just put it down. We'll need a logo or something to fit the screen. So let me just work on that. Just make some random shapes. Yeah, no, not actually, not that. Give me a moment. Yeah, that kind of looks like an awkward F. So Control G to group it. And now that's the logo to place. We'll just give that a name. For name, I'll just copy this one again. And what should we call it? See if it's, let's call it flatbook. Okay, so this what you're seeing right now. Yeah, sorry, this one. This what you're seeing right now is like a wireframe. So you do not care about the colors, you do not care about the look and feel of this, but you know the orientation, but you care about the orientation of the stuff. And wait a second, this looks like, yeah, it was slightly displaced. These are the things that you need to look for when you design. Such errors should not happen, especially not in such seminars where you're talking to people about design. So anyway, yeah, yeah, that's about it for the wireframe. Let's just add some colors and make it look a little less blank. I'll see here, you can change the colors as I told you before. I'll make it a bit dark, but this tone would be good. This one I'll make it a bit darker so the background stroke looks a little more pronounced. Yeah, so for this we'll just copy the same colors. Yeah, that looks good. And I'll also change this extra bold to a bit light. The sign in could also look a little more like this one, except the font is a bit too bold. Let's make it small. Now the creator an account is a link, so we need to underline it and give it a little blue color, because that's how you generally identify that the stuff that you're looking at is actually a link. We'll do the same thing for, I guess, these two. Yeah, we'll just, you press I to grab the color, so this is what I'm doing. The same color is copied in both the places, and also, as I said, we'll underline this one as well. So yeah, I could change a bit. Yeah, this one could be blue as well to match the same feel. At least it doesn't look blank. And as you can see, the text doesn't look good, so we'll make it white. Not that white. Yeah, that looks about right. So guys, that was the basic introduction of Figma. Like it's a very easy tool, and the great thing is you can collaborate with people and it's online, so you don't need to install anything, you don't need to have some heavy hardware, it's all on the web. And quite it can quite easily run on your phone as well, though that's a bit tough in my opinion without a mouse or keyboard. So anyway, anyone has any doubts, or should we move on to the projects about Cyberlab's graphic design team? I'll wait for a few seconds. um I see no chats. I guess that's it. So yeah, that is about it for Figma. Moving on, this is the winter of code. Hold on, just give me a second. Why is my voice lagging? Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So this is the winter of code. Winter of Code is actually a month-long event that Cyberlabs organizes every year to recruit the students and also to help the newbies who are starting out their journey learn the stuff under the mentorship of their seniors who have been in this who have been doing all this stuff for about a year or more, so that you can start your journey with a good project and explore things as you go on. So for this year, graphic design, the design division is also here with two projects for you. The first one is on a web design. The second one is on an app design. So let's check on the projects. Firstly, we move on to the web design. So the web design project is about designing the official site of your favorite band. You can either make it about your favorite band that exists, or if you don't have any particular preferences, which I'm sure you must have, you can think about a hypothetical band too. So it should be a website, and the features that we need from you are that it should have a music player kind of thing that you can play music directly on the website too. And you should have facts, blogs, news, videos, films, or articles, or any stuff about their recent tours and any other and the links to their social handles and any other form of social media connection that the band has with the public. That should be evident on the website, and ticket booking as well, because most likely the band is active unless you're talking about One Direction. So you should add the ticket booking on screens as well, I mean pages as well. Also, every every band right now has a merchandise. I guess everyone has, unless we are talking about BTS. So anyway, you should include the merchandise page as well, and as I said, any other, and also you are free to add any other features that you deem necessary. Okay, so we are giving you a freedom. You need to have all these features that we ask you, the five things, and you can have any other features that you want, and that will be an added plus, and that will be good. I guess anything on the creative side is good. So the important things that you need to remember about designing is that the specific the specific vibe of the band should be reflected in the design. That it should not be like you're designing a website about Imagine Dragons and it looks like something from the Bollywood. Like, you get the idea. It should fit with the theme and feel fitting to the band that you are making it for. Or in case you are making it for a hypothetical band, make sure the entire thing fits to the band. Like, should not look it should not look out of place. Also, try to maintain the consistency in design. You see, if we talk about the this presentation anyway, like, see, this was the first page. Oh, okay, this was the next, and here we are right now. As you can see, the consistency is maintained, and that makes it continuous. It does not look abrupt and weird. So you need to maintain that in your website as well. Okay, and another thing, the navigation through the website should be very easy and very fluent. It should not look imposed or forced, and or it should basically be very intuitive. Like, you know where you should click to go where, and what are the pages that you are expecting if you land on the website. All those things are kind of creative, but we'll leave it to you for right now. As you start the projects, you will be mentored by the seniors who will guide you, and you can discuss your ideas there as well. So that's not an issue. Also, we need at least 4 to 5 scrollable pages, I don't need a web. We are not asking for a one-page website because that kind of defeats the purpose for it being a 1 month project. But you need to make at least 4 to 5 scrollable pages. Anyway, enough talk about the project. Let's come with a live example. So this is Linkin Park, kind of one of my favorites. Yeah, cancel. So if you okay, let me skip it. So this is about the newest 20-year anniversary about the hybrid theory. We'll move on to the main website now anyway. Yeah, this is the main website. So when you look at it, this looks like it is this a screenshot of Windows 98, which nobody uses right now. But if you think about the context and the date at the bottom that says 2000, it is relevant to the release date of hybrid theory, which they are promoting right now. Like it's been 20 years and they are celebrating the 20-year anniversary, and the website reflects that. It reflects what the computers and what the websites would look if they were in 2000s. So you need to keep that part intact in your presentation as well. It should resonate the main idea. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, moving forward, that was project 1. We'll come to the project 2. So the project 2 is about an app design. This one is a bit more free for you. It's more open to imagination because it's a travel app. Basically, you have to design a travel app which aims to reduce the carbon footprint as the users travel across different places. So basically, you are venturing out, which we haven't done in quite a while. But anyway, assume that you are traveling somewhere, exploring cities, and you also need to take care about the environment and the carbon footprint that you leave and the ecological damage that you make on your trip. So it is basically an organic travel app. You need to keep that theme in mind. It should reflect the idea, and the features that we want from you are basically a guide to all sustainable modes of travel. Like what are the options for traveling that you have, like hiking or public transport or trekking or metros or anyway, anything that fits that. There should be an interactive map for guidance because if you're making a travel app, it should have a map at least, because how else will you travel if you don't know where you are? Anyway, the map should also have routes and mode of travel and the places of attractions, eateries, and all the important stuffs in the map. And you can add a chat feature with the local guide because that's what Google does. So we'll do that too because that's kinda in the trend. And also, each place should have a description, fun facts, and other features like photos and stuff, and reviews from people as well, and any other feature that you wish, you are free to add that. Anyway, moving forward, the important points to remember from this is that the motive of the app is to reduce the carbon footprint, like you are thinking about the environment while using the app. So the app should reflect that. Either you will get the idea about that, but it should have something that resembles the idea. Also, again, as we said, try to maintain consistency in the design. Make sure the navigation is quite easy and fluent and very intuitive, and design as many screens as required to bring forth the idea. Like you can go up to about 100 screens, but because that's usually the size that everyone reaches in an app. But at the least, at the minimum limit, you should have 8 screens. Below that, we will not like it, but you're free to go. The upper limit is all on you. And for example, for this one, like we do not have a great example for a travel app that is environment friendly, and I cannot show you an app on my PC right now, so you'll get this. The closest we have is Make My Trip. You can check it out later, so we'll move forward. Anyway, the roadmap for this project includes 5 steps. The first is understanding the users, like understanding the user base, who your target audience is, and what they like, what the user personas are. If you don't understand any of these parts, we'll show you a few projects after this, so you'll understand. After understanding the user base and their needs and their likes and their choices, we move on to the second step, which is the user flow and navigation. The user flow and navigation is basically a sitemap for a website or a roadmap for an app, which decides what is the chronological order and path to reach each of the pages in the website or each of the screens in the app. like which page comes first, what follows that, which options are in the higher order for any website, like why is this overview on the left and the projects on the second, and why are the examples on the last. All these decisions are made in the user flow. Well, after that we come to the wireframing. Wireframing is basically deciding the making the wireframes of the website, as my friend showed you a few examples a while ago about wireframes. We make it to structure the contents of the website. Here is where you have a rough idea of how your website will be structured, but not exactly what it will look like. Moving on, we do the designing, and by designing I mean making the color choices, making the choices for the fonts, making the choices for what the logo should look like, and all the design related aspects of what the content copy should look like. Why is it the roadmap and not the waypoint? All these words and decisions are taken in this part. And the last step, we make the UI prototype, which is basically designing this how the screens will look and how they will animate into one another. And basically at the end of this, you have a working prototype which does not do the function, which is not a complete app basically, but it hello, huh, which is not a complete app, but makes you, but it gives you a great idea of how the final app will look like if it was functional. So anyway, let's move on to a few examples that we have. The first example we have is of Vans. It's a basically shoe store. Hold on. Yeah, it's basically a shoe store company made in Adobe XD and Photoshop. So about Vans website, all this part comes in the understanding section. The first part is about Vans website, that it's a website that sells all the shoes. It's basically a shoe store of international brand. So they had a problem. So this is an important aspect of design, that you do not have to design anything just to make things look pretty. There is a problem and that has to be solved. And that is why designers exist, and that is why we are a division at Cyber Labs. So the problem was the shoes could not be original and original brand. There's always a problem with payment options, and most of the websites are called complex. If you go to many of the websites, you'll find a very cluttered grid-like structure of uh, grid-like structure in e-commerce websites, which is not very intuitive and kind of very confusing. Anyway, the solution is that they came up with a serial number for each project. Payment is made by Visa, and the website, the main part that we are discussing right now, that the website transition is made smooth and simple, so that generic people who are not very accustomed to the website do not have a hard time finding their way around. Next, we come to the user research about the website. So this is the target audience. The gender is male and female. The age group is determined. The generation, the 90s, 80s, and the 2000s generation as well. The classes, this is the economic class that we are talking about, and the profession. So there are no bars on profession. These are the roles of the designer who made this project. So he came up with the research which we are going through right now. After which he came up with the wireframes. We'll reach that and then prototype after the designs. So anyway, the user research. You can read all these parts, but I'll skim through it quick because I do not want to bore you all much with that. So basically, he's talking about the stuff that we need on the website. He says there should be more visual there should be more visual because people don't like reading much, just like this screen. Anyway, so here comes the user persona. User personas are basically descriptions of people who are the likely users of the app. These are fictional in most cases or real in some specific cases too, but these are user personas. Like, you make a character, define his goals, bios, goal and pain points, the things that he does not like, and then you shape your app and project in that way. Like, she's a female of 25 years who has 70k dollars of income and all the details. The important thing is the pain point. She's not being able to compare the prices in an easy way. So we need to think about that and implement that in our app. Finding optimal routes to destination, find non-commerce, and so basically all of that stuff. After that, we come to the sitemap. Sitemap is basically the navigation that we talked about. Hold on. It is basically this part, user flow or navigation. So the products page, collections page, all are, these are the first options in the home page, and all the bottom options are followed by the top pages. Okay, we come to the wireframes. So the wireframes are basically what we told you before, basic representations of how the website should look like. Like they decided here should be the sports collection, here should be the classic collection, there should be such cards like that. And also when you're designing a website, you need to make sure that you make two versions of it. Okay, even when you are making it for the Cyberlabs project, you need to make two versions of it, one for the mobile edition and one for the PC. You can add a tablet edition, but that's not really required. See, here we have a mobile edition, a tablet edition, that's on the PC anyway. So there are so many wireframes, product pages, Visa cards. This is the home page kind of transaction page. Moving forward, they decide the UI guide system. So this is the color swatches. These are the typography, the font weights, and all the choices that we need to make. These are basically the step 4. And after that, we come to the final part that, sorry, everyone looks for, and that is the design, the UI. So this is the home page that they have designed. See, it looks completely different from the wireframes that we saw earlier, but it is the result of those wireframes being worked on for the UI steps. So in the end, as you see it, these are the pages and all the elements in the page. The thing is, when you end your project should also look something like this. I mean, the content should have all these elements like a sitemap, user personas, wireframes, and then prototypes. And if you can make a video about the prototype, that would even be better. But anyway, that's what we expect from you. Moving on to another project that we have to show you is this Photo app, because that was a website. Now let's go through an app first. App once. So this is the Spotto website app. Sorry. So this, as they said, is an event app. The app, so they do not have much of the user personas right now. They started with the app features, but all that as also comes into the understanding section. So they come up with the app overview, the features that the app has, the typography that they chose. Gotham is a non-serif sans serif font, which you'll know more about in the further sessions. Here see they came up with the designs here, colors, and they skipped the wireframes, but they came up directly with the UI prototypes. But we do not want you to do that. You do not have to skip any steps. You have to include the wireframes in your project as well. But that's how you design an app prototype. Like you have to design everything within this rectangular frame, that is this phone screen dimension, which can be a scrollable page, but remember, horizontal scrolls are not welcome. People do not like that. And see, they came up with a light theme and they also came up with a dark theme, which is kind of a good thing. So anyway, that was the second project. And lastly, we have one project which does not suit any of the two projects that we have discussed, but it's a good one and a very detailed one. So I'll show it to you anyway before we wrap up the session. Yeah, give me a minute. Yeah. So this is LinkedIn. Most of you must be knowing LinkedIn, or if you don't know, you will get to know it pretty soon, because internships and placements and HRs and all of that job related stuff happens here. It's basically the Facebook for professionals. So anyway, LinkedIn has several problems. These guys saw those problems, found a solution, and made this project. So you see they came up with three problems. That was the look and feel, which was refreshed about a few months ago, until when the LinkedIn website looked kind of very trashy. The news feeds were not good and the job application process is weird. So they came up with solutions for each part. See, they had a look and feel problem. They came up with a new design language. They had news feeds which were kind of boring to difficult to skim through. They came up with feed stories which kind of resembles Instagram stories, but I'll leave that. Anyway, the job application thing was very tough on LinkedIn earlier. It's still kind of difficult to work around, but anyway, it's better right now. So they came up with the job hub portal. The project had a few goals. These are the solutions, these were the problems, and these are the goals that they form. Convenience, flexibility, and saving time and efforts. These were the data that they collected. Then they came up with user personas. See, this is a very detailed user persona. The pain points, good description of what the problem with the current website is, what she needs, and what the behavior of a user is, of an idle user who's not being monitored as he goes through the website. These are the behavior stats, personality and everything, the details, empathy map. She says she wants to get a new job, but where should she start and what platform is the best is what she wants to know. She feels overwhelmed and frustrated looking at the current website. So all those are problems. This is a typical representation of what a story is, but we'll skip through that. This is another user persona, same stuff, but a lot of details. You should remember that all of this stuff has been thought by an individual and that requires a lot of effort. So I should not skip through that like that, but anyway. Then we come to the wireframes. This is the sitemap anyway. The sitemap that decides this is the home page, then the network, post, jobs, and each of these pages expands onto these options. After that, we have the wireframes of each of the screens. Like this is the phone version of the app. And then they came up with a design theme. You can see this as the UI, and this is the prototype. Finally, how the app looks like. This moving ahead, we have more screens of that, and we have detailed descriptions of why everything is here. Like the notification, one tap to three swipes. This reduces the effort a lot. Like the less you have to scroll and work your way around the app, the more intuitive it becomes. And all this stuff, see the post comes from the bottom, because as my friend said, the bottom part of the screen is more reachable. That's why the phone calls also have the call disconnection button at the bottom, so you don't have to fight for it. Anyway, they designed widgets and all that stuff. This is pretty cool. You can go through all these things. We'll add the links in the description as well. You can see all this is a pretty detailed and quite professional kind of project, something that could get you a job anywhere. So anyway, that was a good project. Finally, that is the end for the seminar right now. Well, now I'll be checking the chats. Do you have any question? Uh, does anyone have any question? I'll be checking the chats right now. How can we play music on a website without coding? See, you do not have to make it play the music. You just have to make it a screen. Like, wait, let me show you something. This is Figma. Hold on. Yeah, I hate ads like that. That's kind of weird on a stream. See if I show you which is, yeah, this one was made by us a few months back. Okay, let's wait a second. Where was that? Yeah, as we come through this one, you just have to make a screen that looks like this, and that will be good. Like, nothing is playing, but you know how it will look if it was functioning. Like, this is the seek button, this is the play button, and all the controls. So that's what you need to do for the screen app. Gameplays, reviews, and more. You need to design play. Yeah. Only design. Do we have to take part in this? Yeah, I guess I mentioned that earlier, but I'll repeat that. The recruitment process for the various departments will change and vary as per their requirements, But for us in the graphic design division, these are the two projects that you have, and you need to work on those. Obviously, under the mentorship of your seniors, the cyber lab members, who will guide you for the projects. So you need to complete those projects, and based on your work and efforts on those projects, decide on induct we'll decide on the recruitment process. There may be another recruitment drive like interviews and stuff, but for now this is how you need to proceed. Both of them, either one, you need to work on any one. You need to work either on the web design project. Hold on a second. Yeah, you can either work on this web design project or you can work on the app design project. Basically, you need to work on any one, complete that one project, and based on your efforts and the progress that you make on that, how well you do that and how well you learn in this 1 month. Because we'll not just be looking at the final product, we'll be monitoring your process almost regularly throughout the month. You will be judged on how sincere you are on the effort, and that's how we'll decide whether or not to recruit you. As for the number of people, that may vary upon depending upon how many people are enthusiastic about it. Can we can we take part in the recruitment process? Yeah, you can participate in several different divisions, but at the end you will be inducted in only one division, because that's how it works. So when do we have to start working on it? You will be notified about the details. This was just an introduction of the project and a kind of how should I say this? Like, take it as an introduction to what you can expect in the future 1 month. We'll come up with the exact details in a week or so. Okay. Does anyone have any more questions, or should we wrap up the session? I see no questions right now. So I guess that will be all for us right now. So thank you everyone. This is me signing off from Cyber Labs. Thank you for watching and have a nice